In this lesson, we will take an in-depth look at how to use the vector tools in Corel Painter. You can create vectors with the shape tools, such as the rectangular shape, the pen tool, and the text tool, and you can edit them with the shape selection tools. Vector art is a distinct form of digital art that is made by drawing shapes rather than painting with pixels. The key difference between pixel art and vector art is that vector strokes and shapes can be edited at any point in the illustration process. To make it easier to access the properties of vector shapes, I'll open the Shape Attributes panel and place it near the Layers panel. To select a shape on my canvas, I can click on it in the Layers palette, or I can click on the shape using the Shape Selection tool. I'll select the rectangle shape in the Layers palette. I can also use the Layer Adjuster tool to select and transform shapes, as long as Auto Select Layer is turned on. I'll turn it on for this demonstration. From the Shape Attributes panel, I can edit the fill and the stroke of shapes. I can change the color and shape of vector layers at any time throughout the illustration process. Let's change the shape of the rectangle by using the Shape Selection tool to manipulate the individual corner points. I can drag the points around, or I can nudge them with the arrow keys. Let's add a new shape. I'll select the Rectangular Shape tool. When a shape tool is selected, all of the other shape tools will be available in the Properties bar. I'll want to choose the options for my stroke and fill first. The stroke is the outline of a shape. This can be any color and thickness you like. Inside of the stroke, you can add a fill, which fills the interior of the shape. You can enable or disable the stroke and the fill if you only want one or the other. I'll choose an orange fill with a red stroke and draw a rectangle. You can create perfect circles and squares by holding Shift as you draw the shape. When you create new shapes with a vector shape tool, a shape layer will be created. Your compositions can contain both vector and pixel layers. If I continue to draw rectangles, I'll keep getting that same orange fill with a red stroke. If I switch to the oval shape tool and change the fill to gray and the stroke to black, now when I draw shapes, they will have a different appearance. You can see that I have some other shapes with combinations of strokes and fills to give you an idea of the kind of styles you can create. Deleting a shape layer is the same as deleting any other layer, but I can also press backspace to delete a shape. I'll delete the extra shape layers I created. If you don't want the Shape Attributes panel on screen, you can access the Fill, Stroke, and other properties from the Shape Attributes Flyout in the Properties bar whenever a shape tool is active. In addition to drawing closed shapes, I can also draw strokes in vector format. I can do this with the Pen tool or the Quick Curve tool. Let's start with the Pen tool. From the Properties bar, I'll choose a stroke color and disable the fill. Next, I'll tap to make a start point and tap again to make an end point. If I continue to tap, I will create a segmented line. If I tap and hold, instead of a straight segment, I will create a Bezier curve. To close the shape, tap on the endpoint. Now we have drawn a vector shape on the canvas. I've never been a huge fan of drawing curves with the pen tool because it feels difficult to use, but it does work well for drawing straight lines. In order to start a new line segment, you'll need to switch away from the pen tool. An easy way to do this is to hold Control. This will temporarily toggle to the Shape Selection tool. Click on the canvas, and when you release Control, that line segment will be ended. The Shape Selection tool is handy because this tool allows you to move the position of the nodes or points in the stroke. There is a keyboard shortcut you can use to quickly select the pen tool, but I have reassigned P to the perspective guides since I don't do much vector drawing in Painter. Feel free to change this if you like. You can change the stroke width to make a line thicker or thinner. You can also change the end cap on a line if you want it to be rounded rather than flat. Lines with sharp corners are able to take advantage of the miter properties. You'll be able to more easily see that on a thick stroke. I can use the Shape Selection tool to edit the points in a stroke to reshape it. There are also Bezier handles, which can be used to adjust the curve. There are even tools to add points, remove points, and convert points. I'll convert one of the curve points to a sharp point by clicking on it with the Convert Point tool. I can add points to the stroke, and then go to the Shape Selection tool and move those points around. I can delete points by clicking on them with the Remove Point tool, and I can even cut a path into multiple sections with the Scissors tool. I'll use the shape selection tool to make those segments appear separate. There is a subtool beneath the pen tool called Quick Curve. I can also toggle from the pen tool to Quick Curve from the Shape Editing Tools option in the Properties bar. Quick Curve can draw vector lines similar to the pen tool, but rather than plotting points, you can freehand draw, and the points will be created automatically. I'll demonstrate by drawing a black stroke without a fill. A vector line is created, but you may have noticed that the line you draw lags behind the cursor. I think this is supposed to make it easier to draw a smooth line by slowing down your stroke. Just like with the pen tool, you can edit the points in the line using the shape selection tool. When a shape tool is selected, you can find commands in the properties bar that can be used to edit shapes. For example, I can close a shape if it has open endpoints. I'll select the open circle layer, and this is an open shape. If I enable the fill, you can see that when it bridges the gap in the stroke, part of the line is still missing. To fix that, I'll choose Close Shape from the Edit properties. Now the gap in the line closes. We can also join endpoints manually by selecting the endpoints we want to connect. You can even join endpoints that are on separate layers. This merges the shapes into a single layer. I can select two shape layers and combine them to create a compound shape. Now they will act as a single shape. You can see that I can stroke the shape and modify its points. I can also release a compound shape to separate the layers. There are also edit commands to flip shapes horizontally and vertically, and we can cut, copy, and paste shapes. Next, let's explore the properties for converting shapes. You may want to convert shapes to regular layers so that you can paint on them with brushes. You can do that from the properties bar, or you can right-click on a layer. I'll convert the circle layer. Once you do that, the layer changes from an editable shape to regular pixels. And now you can paint and blend on it any way you like. If I try to paint and blend on a shape layer, nothing is going to happen to it. Instead, a new pixel layer has been created for me to paint on. Likewise, if I try to use the shape selection tool on the layer that I converted to a default layer, I am unable to edit the points because it's not a vector layer anymore. We can also convert a shape to a selection. This creates a shape-based selection that you can fill with paint or use in various ways. If we have multiple shapes selected, we can align them. I'll hold Shift and select the small circles in the alignment group and align them on their vertical centers. There are some additional commands that are used with shapes in the Shapes menu. I'll revert the Vector Shapes template. Set Duplicate Transform will let you duplicate a shape while transforming it. I'll select the rectangle layer and go to Shapes, Set Duplicate Transform. Let's rotate it 10 degrees and scale it 90%. Then we'll click on OK and create a duplicate by going to Shapes, Duplicate. You can see that the shape was duplicated, scaled, and rotated. If I press the keyboard shortcut of Control right bracket, I can continue that transformation until it goes off the canvas. I can also blend shapes together with intermediate shapes. I'll select the circle and triangle layers, and then I'll go to Shapes, Blend. This gradually blends the shapes together. There are some other options available to edit shapes, but I'll move on and allow you to experiment with those later if you're so inclined. You can set a few shapes preferences in the Corel Painter preferences. For example, when you're drawing shapes, you can fill them with current color or stroke in current color. That would be whichever color is selected for your main color. You can also choose what happens when you close the shape. For instance, you can choose to have it fill the shape automatically or not. And you can increase the size of the vector points to make them easier to manipulate. You can also change the color of those points if you like. Corel Painter's vector tools are limited in their ability compared to dedicated vector applications like Corel Draw or Adobe Illustrator. I'd recommend one of those applications for anyone who is going to be creating detailed vector art. Despite their limitations, Painter's basic vector tools can come in handy while creating pixel-based paintings. As you can see, I illustrated a simple building using vector shapes, but with more time and effort, you can create something more detailed like this barn. Once I'm through creating the shapes, I can convert them to default layers and add shading with pixel-based brushes. To create the side of the building, I drew a couple of rectangle shapes, and then I moved the points to create a sense of perspective. I alternated between the Shape Selection tool to move points and the Layer Adjuster to transform shapes. To create the windows, I duplicated a single window by holding Alt, then Shift to keep the windows aligned. Shift locks the movement to a vertical or horizontal axis. You can also select multiple windows and duplicate them to quickly multiply them. In order to paint on them, I'll need to convert each of those shape layers to default layers. Now that these are default layers, I can turn on Preserve Transparency, select the digital airbrush, and add some shading to the building with lighter and darker colors. Establishing the foundation of shapes using the shape tools makes it easy to create three-dimensional objects like this. It's more accurate than freehand painting these shapes, and more editable than a polygonal selection. Now that we are finished with the Layer Adjuster tool, I'll disable Auto Select Layer.